I've just quit my cake making business to become a full-time gardener and influencer. My cake business has been my life and my sole income for the last 8 years. And although I won't actually be selling them anymore, of course I'll still make them for my friends and family because I just can't let go. Last weekend was my husband's and my niece's birthday, so I thought I'd show you how I made their cakes. Firstly, a trade secret for professional cake makers is to use a baking margarine instead of butter in your sponges. It gives a far superior texture and moistness, and I will accept no arguments on this. Butter is one of the most expensive ingredients, and as a business it's important to try and keep your costs down. On the other hand, it's non-negotiable to use real butter for your icing, but I'll come to that later. The recipe for the cake and the buttercream is linked in my bio. For my cake business, this was the smallest size cake I would offer. It's 6 inches in width and I did it as 3 layers in cake because I like to make tall cakes. I leveled the top of my cakes just to give me a little snack whilst I was working, then wrapped them individually in cling film whilst they're still warm. I also made a red velvet cake for my friend's birthday, which is the week after. Honestly, April is such a busy birthday month for me. The biggest tip I can give to amateur cake makers is to never ever use liquid food colouring. Gel or paste food colouring is what you need. I highly recommend brands like Sugar Flare or Wilton. For my husband, I made him a chocolate cake, and I have worked so hard on perfecting this recipe over the years. Chocolate cakes should be moist and fudgy like the cake from Matilda, and using oil instead of butter really helps you achieve that. The next absolutely essential step is to wrap your cakes in cling film whilst they're still warm and then freeze them overnight. Please trust me on this, it just helps so much when you come to decorate. For my niece's cake, I used some homemade jam I made last year, and I just layer it like a classic Victoria sponge cake with jam and icing between the layers. For the chocolate icing, it has to be real melted chocolate in the icing, not just cocoa powder to give you that chocolate flavour. While the crumb coats were setting, I just made some pretty basic cake toppers with my Cricut machine. Then the next day, I finished decorating the cakes. I know videos like this always make the process seem so fast and easy, but this whole process took me a few hours over 3 days. I genuinely think the washing up and tidying up after making all this mess takes longer than the actual cake decorating. I am really going to miss being a cake maker, and I've put so much time and energy into my business over the years. When I first started out, I really struggled finding good recipes, especially for stacking them and all the weight of the decorations on top. So if you want to try it, I've written it all up in a booklet which is linked in my bio. In it are the recipes for the vanilla, chocolate and red velvet, as well as all the icings that go with them. Goodbye to my cake business and hello to a new era of my life.